From the Matrix Home Solutions studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, and boy, I love these two stories about what's happening in K through 12 education on opposite sides of the country, one in California and the other in Florida. In California, Peachy Keenan, we've referenced her before. She's a contributor over at the Claremont Institute. I'm hearing in Brentwood that the prestigious private school in L.A., Brentwood School, hearing that Brentwood is in chaos after almost zero white seniors got into University of California schools. When friends went there in happier times, University of California acceptance was like 80%. This year, it's BIPOC kids only. Parents who spend $60,000 a year for 6 years are a little upset. And she goes on, cry more, no mercy. They made their bed. Enjoy Santa Monica community, rich kids. Love it. Absolutely love it. This is who you said you were. And so your kid cedes his spot to a kid with a higher intersectionality score. That's the way you said it works. What's the problem? Enjoy Santa Monica community, rich kids. Oh, no, mom and dad aren't going to get the status they wanted for the kid. Maybe they can call one of those consultants and see if they can, dummy up a 23andMe test result, like they dummy up their kids' participation on lacrosse teams and so forth, varsity blues style. Now, on the happier side, the other side, the sane side of the country, as presented by Governor DeSantis in Florida, on Tuesday, DeSantis signed a bill requiring all Florida kids to take and pass a basic financial literacy course to graduate from high school. Worth half a credit, the course will be required beginning in the 23-24 school year, providing a foundation for students to learn about the basics of money management, understanding debt, understanding how to balance a checkbook, understanding the fundamentals of investing. Brilliant. Thank you. Basic financial literacy at the K through 12 level, making it a requirement to get out of high school in Florida. A tale of two directions K through 12 is going. California and other identitarian adult leftist states and the big cities within them that drive these policies. And states like Florida with the leadership of Ron DeSantis, who's actually interested in making K through 12 education about educating children and preparing them for success in professional life, as opposed to using K through 12 as an incubator for political activists. For more on all this, we're pleased to be joined by Roger Ream. He's the president of the Fund for American Studies and the Foundation for Teaching Economics. Speak of the devil. I'm a TFAS grad, Comparative Political and Economic Systems, back 100 years ago. Roger, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to be with you, Dad and Amy.
How about that decision by DeSantis, financial literacy? You got to pass a financial literacy, know how to balance a checkbook before you leave high school.
Oh, that sounds. I was just really thrilled to hear that news. A lot of our focus in our high school programs is teaching what we call the economic way of thinking. It's economic principles. It's not exactly financial literacy, but I think the two go hand in hand, and we need to teach both to high school students. The challenge is always finding teachers who are prepared to teach financial literacy and teach economics. So we do a lot of training of teachers. But we need, I think there are now, I think it's close to 30 states in our country. Nevada recently also joined this list of states that require students to take some economics or financial literacy classes. So as long as they're trained teachers who can teach it, it's a great development because young people need to learn this.
Yeah, an important note about training the teachers that are so they're able to as well, because they come up in systems where you don't have to pass an economics course, you don't have to have any particular basic financial literacy, and so they need to be prepared to pass that along as well. It makes perfect sense. I want
Yeah,
to go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I was going to say we also developed a curriculum for teachers, a lesson for teachers, a program that's on debt and deficit, so they understand the federal and state financial problems. And they're very interested in that course because their pensions are so often at risk. And you know that in Illinois, of course, but
Yes.
even nationally, we've got such terrible debt and deficit problems that we think it's important for teachers to understand what lies ahead in terms of federal spending and the terrible financial problems we're heading toward.
How about even understanding the basics, like what the difference between a deficit and debt is, which
Exactly.
which a lot of people don't understand, including at the adult side, much less the student side. And also, just a comment on the tragic news out of Brentwood, the Brentwood School there in L.A., and this emphasis, and we're talking about this in the context of a Supreme Court nominee as well, the emphasis on race or gender versus academic ability when it comes to entrance into elite institutions.
That's exactly right. There is, because of the progressive left pushing identity politics and what they call social justice, it is displacing what this country was built on in terms of merit and competence. Everyone, I think, would agree that if you're going to go under a surgeon's knife, you hope that surgeon is there, not because of his skin color or some arbitrary criteria, but because he's competent, was well trained, worked hard, and got to where he was through merit. You get on an airplane, you think the same thing about the pilots. But unfortunately, the progressive left, that's not what matters. And for President Biden to say, I'm going to pick my running mate because of her skin color or her gender, I'm going to pick my Supreme Court justices based on their gender and skin color, is not what this country was built on. It's inconsistent with the idea of the individual dignity, and Martin Luther King's whole crusade for civil rights wasn't to have a society based on race and color.
Now, talking about individual liberty globally, we had on last year during the pandemic a couple of gentlemen from Venezuela that were talking about what it was like to live under Chavez and then Maduro, what's happened to their country at the hands of autocrats. And you recently received an email that you wrote about from a young woman in Ukraine who is in a bomb shelter in Kharkiv. And I mean, it's just incredible thinking about this. An email from a woman in a bomb shelter in Kharkiv asking if you could extend the deadline for your program's admission to her because, she's got a little problem at home.
Yeah, well, since the early 90s, we've been running a summer program in Prague in the Czech Republic for young people throughout the former Soviet Union and Warsaw Pact countries, including students from Russia and Ukraine and all around that region. And we get some great young, bright students who many grew up under communism, or at least their parents did, and they come to our program and learn about the American political and economic system and gain, their confidence as leaders. And this young woman emailed us recently. She said she was applying to our program this summer, but because she's in a bomb shelter in Kharkiv, she wondered if we could extend the deadline and whether we could waive a requirement that she try to find her professor to get a letter, her transcript or letter of recommendation to us.
And of course you denied her because you said, the application is the application.
Rules are rules.
Yeah, right.
I told our staff, tell her she has a full scholarship if she gets Prague this summer. And we're also trying to recruit some Ukrainian students who are here in the U.S. now studying. And otherwise, at the end of the semester in May, they would be having to try to head back to Ukraine to get home. And we'd be happy to have them in our program here this summer in Washington to learn about democracy and free markets and spend the summer with us, gaining experience here. Because, we hope we don't know if we'll get many young men from Ukraine this summer to Prague, because they're probably going to stay and fight the Russians. But we'll try to get as many kids from Ukraine as we can. We've been told by the Czech Republic, by our university partner there, they will not allow Russians to come. So we don't have to make that decision ourselves, because I think it'd be difficult this summer to have Russians in the program.
Yeah.
Because of the conflicts that would raise, if any even did want to come. And there are a lot of good young Russian students have come to our program and do not agree with what their government's doing.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunate. I mean, it really is something, and these that's why these programs are so great. And I was just thinking Kharkiv too. There was that story out this week about a guy in his 90s who was killed in the bombing of civilian apartment buildings in Kharkiv, who had survived 4 Nazi concentration camps as a teenager, and then he's killed in a bombing or authorized by another autocrat some 7.5 decades later. It's just one of these, like, man's inhumanity to man bookended that guy's life, and it just reminds you of the sort of constant fight, the eternal vigilance that Reagan referred to, that's required when it comes to authoritarian or totalitarian regimes.
That's right. Well, we have graduates of this program of ours in Prague, who one is the Czech permanent representative to the UN, another is the Polish permanent representative to the UN. They both spoke on behalf of the resolution condemning Russia a few weeks ago when this started, and they spoke with such moral clarity. We were so proud to hear them speaking to the General Assembly on behalf of Ukraine and ending this violence. The Deputy Minister of the Czech Republic to the EU likewise is a graduate of our program, and we've got alums from this program who are reporting on what's happening there, who are helping refugees in Poland, Hungary, Slovakia, opening up their homes to them. So young people, we have a lot, great examples of young people in this world doing great things. I think they're an inspiration to all of us, and I hope young people in the U.S. are taking note of that. When you talked about some of the things we see on U.S. campuses today, it's been a topic you've covered about law schools shouting down speakers, and University of Virginia this week, the school paper unanimously editorializing against free speech. It was just disgusting when they want to keep Mike Pence from coming. These are so-called future journalists.
Yeah,
that don't believe in the First Amendment.
Future lawyers and judges and maybe Supreme Court justices at Yale Law School doing the same thing.
Yeah, but I think we can take heart that there are lots of young people in this country and elsewhere around the world who have good character and strong ideals and are doing good things, and hopefully we can turn them into the leaders of tomorrow.
He is Roger Ream, president of the Fund for American Studies, Foundation for Teaching Economics. TFAS.org is the mothership website. Roger, thanks so much for joining us, as always. Appreciate it.
So good to be with you, Dan.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Structural foundation problems? Permaseal can help. Hi, I'm Roy Spencer, president of Permaseal. Last year's severe drought has homeowners across Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana experiencing symptoms of structural foundation issues. Cracked brickwork or caulking, uneven floors, new cracks in the drywall or ceiling, doors or windows that no longer open or shut properly, or basement walls that are leaning or bowing. All of these can be signs of a structural foundation issue. Too often we hear of homeowners paying for an expensive consultation just to determine the problem. Don't be one of them. Call Permaseal today at